Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Millar, the current director of design at Gastro Creative, and welcome to your first onboarding video for the training process. In today's video, we'll kind of cover an introduction to Figma, where you'll learn all the basics, including what is Figma, what does Figma do best, and how do I even use Figma. To kind of kick us off with today's agenda, 1, you'll learn how to navigate the Figma homepage, 2, how to create a design file, and 3, demo and example posts that kind of showcases all the skills that you'll learn in today's video. Okay, getting started. How would I describe Figma? Essentially, the design community kind of regards it to be the Google Drive of all design tools. I think that's pretty accurate. But in short, Figma is a web-based graphics editing and user interface app. Before Figma, design workflows were relegated to platforms that had extremely limited functionality. In the early 2010s, the most popular tool for apps and interfaces was Adobe Photoshop, if you can believe it. So built in 2011, Figma sought to combine the accessibility of the web with the functionality of a native application, and it brought serious change to how designers created their work. For instance, real-time collaboration was built into the design process. More people across different departments could participate in design. Think about how strategy consultants can now interact with design assets during projects. That wasn't normal 10 years ago. And workflows sped up and became cheaper. You could now access your projects and start designing on any computer or platform without having to buy multiple licenses or install software. Their vision is to make design accessible to everyone, and in their words, the best way to design is together. Okay, getting started. If you don't have one already, you can sign up for a free Figma account. And since you are a student, you can access all of Figma's professional features for free. So you can visit the link there down below to verify your education status. Okay, and now we can hop into navigating Figma's homepage. All right, welcome to my Figma homepage. This will be pretty self-explanatory. You have your recents, your drafts, your team. This is how I currently organize all of my projects. And most importantly, you can also access the community tab through here. The community tab holds all the user-generated content on the platform, and you can explore things like plugins, widgets, wireframes, and all these really cool design systems. I would say plugins are the most valuable assets of Figma, so definitely take some time to explore that. Okay, so now that we've kind of reviewed how to navigate the homepage, we can hop into learning how to create on a design file. Okay, and welcome to the design file. Just a reminder, this walkthrough will be a basic overview of all the main functions and interfaces. We won't be covering complex topics like prototyping and components in this video. So just to get started, the canvas in the back here is the backdrop for all your designs. It's where you'll add all the frames, shapes, text, and images. And on the top, we have the toolbar. Starting from the left, we have the main menu. This menu contains Figma's search feature and various other functions organized in that menu. And then right next to it, we'll have the Move tool. This tool allows you to select and reorder layers in the Layers panel or move objects around on the canvas. Below that, we have the Scale tool. This tool allows you to resize entire objects or layers without manipulating the shapes within them. And right next to that, we have the Frame and Slice tools. Frames are the containers you place your shapes, text, and image layers in. You can think of each frame in the canvas as a single screen of your design. The Slice tool allows you to specify a region of the screen that you want to export. Next, we have the Shape tools, which is pretty self-explanatory. It has all of the most used shapes that you can quickly access, including the Place Image function. And then next to that, we have the Pen and Pencil tools. The Pen tool allows you to create custom shapes and icons, and the Pencil tool allows you to add freehand drawings or annotations to your design files. Next to that, we have the Text tool, which is also pretty self-explanatory. Just drag and drop to have a text section. And then we also have the Hand tool, and this tool allows you to click around within a file without accidentally activating hover outlines, making selections, or moving objects. And then last, we have the Comment tool, which can be pretty useful when working on collaborative files. Next, we have contextual functions. When you have a layer or object selected, you will see these contextual tools in the center of the toolbar. Which tools you'll see here will depend on your specific selection. And let's get started with the Edit Object icon. You can click this icon to open Vector Edit mode, and this allows you to add, remove, or adjust the individual anchor points within a vector path. Next, we can go on to Create Component. Components are essentially elements that you can reuse across your designs. They help to create and manage consistent designs across projects. And you can just click this here to create one. Again, that's kind of outside the scope of this project, but if you're looking to learn more, I can drop a resource for you down below. And this is the mask icon. Masks allow you to show or hide specific portions of a layer or object. And then, of course, we have the crop icon, pretty self-explanatory. And then finally, we have the Boolean operations icon, which essentially contains union, subtract, intersect, exclude, and flatten. And this allows you to just manipulate your shapes and layers. And on the farthest right-hand side there, you have the share button, the presentation icon, and the view settings. And then moving on to the layers panel, which you can find here on the left. Essentially, any frames, groups, or objects you add to the canvas will be visible in the layers panel. And to help you visualize how Figma uses layer hierarchy, I can use this kind of example here. Parents are layers that contain other layers. Think frames, components, and groups. Children are layers within a parent. Think of the text and shape layers within a component or group. And siblings are layers within the same parent. Layers need to be at the same level in the layer hierarchy to be siblings. As you can see here, these are siblings under the parent. And reparenting is essentially if you move the rectangle outside of the parent, the layers panel will update to reflect the change, and it is no longer located within the parent. And you can kind of maneuver this around both within the layers panel and on the canvas itself. On this left-hand side is the Assets tab, and this holds the components and libraries, which is outside the scope of this video, but I can drop resources down below if you want to know more about it. And then you have pages. Figma allows you to create multiple pages, each with its own canvas. Essentially, it's like having multiple design files under one name. For instance, if I click on timeline reference, my second page, it takes me to a new canvas. Inside, we have the design tab, and the design tab allows you to add, remove, and change the properties of objects within your design. For instance, you'll have alignment and distribution, frame size and orientation, position on the canvas, X and Y, dimensions of the object, width and height, any constraints, a layout grid, which I can show here, the layer, which are essentially the blend modes, any text settings, fill, stroke, effects, and export settings. So that's pretty much all you need to know for that. And then the next two tabs are the prototype tab, which gives you access to all the prototyping functionality, and the inspect tab, which allows you to see how your elements are expressed in code, but those are both kind of outside the scope of work for what you'll be using Figma for. Okay, and now I've shown you how you can use Figma to kind of create any design files. And just a quick note, all of these functions do have shortcuts that you can use with your Windows or Mac keyboard. I've dropped a resource for you in the description if you're interested in learning more, or maybe want to memorize a few of them. They do come in handy, so there's that for you. So next we can hop into the actual demo of the post I was describing earlier. Okay, here we are. Here's the example post I've actually pulled from Canva. I'll show you how to actually replicate all the elements within Figma itself. So just to make it a little bit more streamlined, I've dropped all of the text components and the shapes on the file itself. I've shown you how you can add them within the file using the toolbar settings. We'll go ahead and get started by adding the frame to the file to begin with, and I've shown you how to do that earlier. Just click frame, and then I clicked the Instagram post settings. Next, we're going to want to change the fill of this square to match the Canva post. So if we just go to add a fill, and then drop here, and then go to the eyedropper tool and click the background of the post, it changes it to this nice gray color that kind of matches the inspiration. So next, we want to add the text to the actual post itself. And you can do this, you can select multiple text boxes by either holding shift and clicking them, or by simply clicking and dragging to select all. We can drag these onto the post and kind of maneuver it to match pretty nicely. So next we have these shapes that we need to edit to kind of make them fit the theme of the post. I've changed the fill on these just by the same way I've shown you earlier, but we need to cut this circle in half and make this a fourth of a circle. I can show you two ways of editing shapes in Figma. The first one is by the Boolean operations method that I was mentioning earlier. You can do this by dropping another shape that kind of cuts it in half, selecting both of them, and then doing the subtract function. That's a pretty easy way to get half a circle there. We'll drag that right about there, that works. And then next is actually editing the circle using like the arc function. So you can kind of like maneuver it using sweep. And so like I said earlier, we're kind of wanting it at 25%. And this is not the right orientation. So we do need to get this over to 90 degrees. Take that in and there you go, it fits. So we'll drag that to that corner. Cool. And then last, we just have this cool line. And as you can see, our alignment is a little bit off. All of these seem to be left aligned, and these are kind of scattered all over the place. So if we select all of these elements by just holding shift, like I mentioned earlier, we can kind of hit the left align button and it left align all of the assets, which is pretty cool. Okay, and after some quick editing, you've got a very similar looking post using all the features in Figma that I've shown you today. Awesome. So now on to action items. So congratulations, you finished the first video. So what I'd like you to do is please drop a comment down below answering the following questions. 1, what is one thing that you've learned about Figma from this video? And 2, what is one thing about Figma you want to know more about? This could be a topic or question. I'll be checking and responding to questions this week. And just a reminder, your comment counts as your participation in this activity, which is mandatory for training. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.